Andres Ramirez, a Nevada-based Democratic strategist and former vice chairman of the Democratic National Committee's Hispanic Caucus, said the Thursday Sanders quarrel with the union amounted to an unforced error. I think what really is going on is, if they're going to come out and do a statement like that was so anti-Sanders blatantly and purely based on what they've heard, I mean, maybe there's some sort of conversation we don't know about, because Sanders, as I said before, he has released a plan. He's released a plan that describes in great detail about how, A, they will transition union workers off of their culinary health care that they have onto the Medicare for All program, which is perfectly good, if not better, health care than the health care that they currently have. And why that would be better. Medicare for All would be better, because health care should be guaranteed. You should not have to put health care on the table when it comes to negotiations with bosses. It's just that simple. Yeah. So look, it's one thing for culinary to tell its members to distribute flyers saying, look, we don't think this is a good plan for the union. It's another thing for them to attack them, upset them, and now get them mobilized to make sure the members don't vote for a candidate. He said when culinary chooses to engage, they've proven time and time again they can change the outcome. Here's a statement. It said, I very much appreciate the struggle the culinary workers is waging to improve the lives of families working in Nevada and throughout the country, and I agree with their key goals, he said. Let me also address an important issue that the culinary union has raised regarding online harassment. Harassment of all forms is unacceptable to me, and we urge supporters of this campaign to not engage in bullying or personal attacks. Our campaign is building a multi-generational, multiracial movement of love, compassion, and justice. We can certainly disagree on issues, but we must do it in a respectful manner. Again, Politico there, with the reporting there, not as you can tell probably by the framing of it, but like the idea again that I just do not get is these BS talking point that, oh my gosh, everybody on the Bernie Sanders campaign is blood sucking. They have teeth that are like, they have like vampire type teeth. Like whenever you see a Bernie supporter, like people on Twitter, people who probably spend their whole lives on Twitter, like if they see a Bernie supporter in real life, like these PMC, like cosmopolitan liberal types who spend all of their time on Twitter, like whenever they see a Bernie supporter, they probably expect them to, like, with this kind of rhetoric, to just sprout vampire fangs and just start running after them, trying to bite them and be like, you don't support Medicare for All. It's just so ridiculous. So, yeah, and I do want to get to this thread on Twitter by a union worker. It says, in 2015, my union international, with absolutely no input from the rank and file or even local leadership, endorsed Hillary Clinton the day she announced she was running. Anyone who thinks criticizing the culinary union's leadership on policy is viciously attacking workers is nuts. Not just nuts, but completely showing their ass as either a cynical political operator from CAP or some Buttigieg-type PMC jerk-off who's never interacted with the union or its workers except to pander or fret about how union work rules affect productivity or whatever. If anything, this little fracas is a clarifying moment for burners who are oriented toward the labor movement. The existing leadership is an impediment to even mild social change. In fact, the whole edifice of business unionism in this country is rotten and must be torn down. Yeah, so this is the thread that's very interesting. So Bernie has the most comprehensive union plan ever in the history of Democratic politics, ever. I think that's very, very true. Bernie was literally the first campaign ever in history to have a campaign union. There's that as well. Like, so to the point of the idea that he wants to hurt unions or hurt labor, like that's just a patently false idea. Let's see. The attacks on Medicare for All from Culinary 226 are at best unfounded and at worst a calculated hit. For example, Bernie has a plan to transition union workers into Medicare for All. As Culinary 226, though, they have engaged in some tricky flyers in the past. They have a history of this kind of stuff. Senator Reid twisted the F out of some arms in Nevada in Clinton for Clinton in 2016 because a loss in Nevada would have stalled their campaign completely. Donors flat out told Robbie Mook they would stop giving money, period. So those arms, I think the truth is those arms in Nevada, I think it's been proven at this point as a fact. Those arms can't be twisted, and maybe they were twisted this time by the same people who are now in maybe an Elizabeth Warren campaign or a Pete Buttigieg campaign. Who knows? The big one no one's talking about, Culinary 226 fund is a Taft Harley. So the union bosses, literally have everything to lose with Medicare for All. Meaning no more management fees, no more administering the fund. So if they don't have that fund, if they don't have control over the fund, they lose a lot of power. So that's right. Culinary 226 took the time to attack Bernie Sanders on the one platform item they have an inherent conflict of interest in. So, yeah, the Taft-Hartley Fund was established in 1981. So pretty much what that means, the union bosses have complete control over how all that money for that healthcare gets distributed, and it is a big deal. That's a big, big deal. Like, they get to manipulate it and control it, wherever the case may be. So, something we haven't seen before, the pattern and opportunity here was to conduct a three-pronged attack on Bernie Sanders. There was absolutely no random nature to any of this. Part 1, flow disinformation on Medicare for All, the aforementioned conflict of interest. Part 2, get literally every other campaign the chance to subtly attack Sanders. Part 3, float the "oh no, we are getting harassed" press release, which is the same BS press release that so many people tried to do on Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders people could probably and should probably do. David Sirota, his communications director, does this very well on Twitter. I think Bernie Sanders would, a good effective PR strategy online would be start complaining about harassment from other supporters, because based on the small sample size I've gotten from some Democratic supporters, it won't be that hard. So anyway, many Nevada Caucus pundits were curious why Culinary 226 has endorsed. It's not a mystery. Senator Reid wants Biden, but union bosses were hesitant to endorse a candidate that was tanking. The endorsement delay was a feature, not a bug. There was a delay in 2016 and a surgical attack by Team Clinton with massive support from Senator Reid. For the record, Culinary 226 endorsed Hillary Clinton, not President Ruben Kihuen, famously ejected in his first term for sexual harassment. Disclosure, I ran against Kihuen and lost. Good choices all around. He also endorsed Ruben Kihuen in Nevada, who had to, he was the guy who went out for sexual harassment. The way he's writing this, his name is Dan Roll. He is a millennial policy strategist and mental wellness advocate. This is in his Twitter bio. He's a congressional candidate in 2016, as we heard. Let's see. As I said in 2016, I visited many union events and sites. I kept hearing the same thing. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Bosses were for Clinton, and a lot of the members voted for real Donald Trump. And something we cannot repeat again. Culinary 226 knew exactly what would happen when they did this. Hell, I'm a Bernie Sanders mega supporter, and I knew what would happen. I stand with Bernie, wasn't going to sit back and let union leadership lie about the plan of Medicare for All. The response was the point. Culinary 226 has the response to the harassment of Sanders supporters coordinated with Joe Biden, E. Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and Pete Buttigieg. Perhaps not overtly, but they all responded in record time. That is true. Like, they had responses out condemning Bernie for this stuff, and Bernie supporters like that. Joe Biden coming out and saying, "I stand with the working men and women of Culinary 226 because supporting labor means supporting our unions." The outrage was always the plan. Culinary 226 was 100% ready with the response, and the media coverage of this was all pre-planned, period. This was literally a mass hit on Sanders' momentum. That is it, period. So, it looks like now they have decided to not endorse. And this line, I think, with, Sanders getting harassed, really, I think, all too predictable. It really is. It's sad, really, and all too predictable with what we've seen going on all the times. The Democrats have used that in the past. And I think pro-Sanders organizations really need to start doing this, because it's getting to a point where it's being manipulated and it's costing Sanders in a big way. All right, so that's the latest with the Democratic primary at this time. And the sad thing is, it's not all about the best thing when it comes to it's not all about the best thing when it comes to unions. Who does the best for unions? That's not the first consideration. It's about who you know, who does the most talking in the union leadership, who butters them up the most. It's not like, they have the rank and file, have a vote, and then that's who they decide to endorse. It's not that Democratic. It's no surprise. It's politics being played left, right, and center, and that's just the way the world works. So, that is a very interesting situation to be following, and this is make no mistake, one of the most politically powerful unions in its state, in the country. So, yeah, they can, once they organize, they can really change results. So it is a big deal that they decided here again to not endorse and sit out for this election, leaving the rank and file members to do, I think, whatever they please. So that could be a very big deal. All right, so we follow that in the lead up to the Nevada primary. We will have coverage of it Saturday nights. I'll be back, so we will have coverage of that result. Yeah, as of now. So thank you so much for listening. That's all we got for you today. This has been Newsflash, everybody.